Congratulations. How do you feel? What is that like? You know how much I'm getting for this set? I'm getting $503.
Jerry Seinfeld is undeniably one of the greatest comedians in recent history. His fame skyrocketed through the sitcom Seinfeld, where he played a semi-fictionalized version of himself, captivating audiences from 1989 to 1998 on NBC. Beyond his jokes, Jerry Seinfeld is adored by car enthusiasts for his impressive collection of vintage and rare Porsches. This passion for cars comes to life in another TV show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, which debuted in 2012 and has continued entertaining audiences through 11 remarkable seasons. As of May 2015, the show had amassed over 100 million views. In this delightful series, Seinfeld pairs his fellow comedians with carefully chosen vintage cars, each with unique charm. The show's premise is simple, yet captivating. Jerry introduces the selected car to his guest comedian, and together they embark on a drive to a charming cafe or restaurant. There, amidst the camaraderie, they share conversations and, of course, savor coffee. Join us as we take you on a journey inside Jerry Seinfeld's car collection.
For me, it's horrible. It shows I really haven't gotten anywhere.
1969 Porsche 917K curse check. We're starting with a bang. Seinfeld's car collection is probably the best collection of Porsches in the world that we know about. And this 1969 Porsche 917K curse check is, to some purists, the crown jewel of his collection. The 917 curse check is a legendary racing car Porsche show to the world in 1969. It was designed by Helmut Bott and powered by a 4.9-liter Type 912 flat 12 engine that had 600 horsepower. It was an insane amount of power for the early 1970s. Porsche built just 36 of these beauties and considered the car one of its most legendary builds. In racing circles, the 917K curse check is considered one of the greatest race cars ever. The 917K curse check helped Porsche make their name in Le Mans and endurance racing, and how Seinfeld got to own one is an impressive feat. This exact 917K curse check, chassis 022, is no ordinary 917 because it is one of the 917Ks that Steve McQueen drove when he was filming for the famous racing movie titled Le Mans. Seinfeld's 917K curse check used to be owned by the 1970 Le Mans winner Richard Atwood. It is an absolute beauty and one of the most well-kept examples of this race car. It's estimated to be worth about $20 million. 1955 Porsche 550 prototype. If Jerry Seinfeld could get his hands on a rare race car with only 36 copies made, you bet he can afford something even rarer. The 1956 Porsche 550 prototype is another classic Porsche that helped the car manufacturer in racing history cars. The standard 550 is rare, but the 550 prototype is even more scarce. The 550 prototype is considered the holy grail for Porsche collectors because it stands out as a legend amid the vast herd of racing cars during that time. Only 13 550 prototypes were produced by Porsche in conjunction with Glockler, the first person to ever race in a Porsche. In the 1950s, the car easily held its own against racing giants like Ferrari, Maserati, and Jaguar. Seinfeld's 550 prototype is estimated to be worth $8 million. 1960 Porsche 356B Carrera GTL Abarth. This is another rare and expensive Porsche in Seinfeld's collection. The 356B Carrera GTL Abarth is a Porsche Carrera improved by the enigmatic Carlo Abarth to create a Carrera that would be as light as possible, but with a more robust chassis to improve handling. Only 20 examples of the Porsche 356B Abarth exist, and when they were initially sold for just 1 million lira each. It's powered by a 1.5-liter flat-bore engine with just 135 horsepower. Despite emphasizing function over style, the design exudes the iconic 1960s race car atmosphere that still leaves people speechless. But this Porsche is more than just a lovely face. It was built from the ground up to be a track monster. Seinfeld's Porsche 356B Carrera GTL Abarth is estimated to be worth $3.5 million. 1966 Porsche 356C SC Cabriolet Police Car. All the cars from Seinfeld's collection are unique in their own way. This dainty little car is not the most valuable and definitely cannot be considered iconic, and frankly, it's weird but still cute. The 356C SC in Seinfeld's collection is rare. It's one of the last 10 Porsche 356s that were built. They were specially commissioned by the Dutch police as highway patrol cars for high-speed pursuits. This car appeared in an episode of the 11th season of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. It's estimated to be worth $400,000. 1970 Porsche 908 03 Spider. The Porsche 908 was the successor to the 917. It's an ultra-lightweight hypercar from the past. It weighed just over 1,400 pounds. The short wheelbase track monster was successful in the 1970 Nürburgring 1000 km and the Targa Florio. It could hit speeds of 180 miles per hour with ease. The 908 is heavier than the 909, which weighs less than the 850 pounds, but it's so compact that there's hardly any interior space. It was designed so the driver's legs usually rest just beyond the front wheels. To save weight, this race car has no roof and is powered by a 3.0-liter 8-cylinder engine with 370 horsepower. Imagine going 180 miles per hour with no roof. Seinfeld 908 Spider is estimated to be worth $5 million. 1975 Porsche 935. Seinfeld's love affair with Porsche race cars continues with the 1975 935. Porsche introduced the 935 as a factory racing version of the ultimate 911 at the time, the 911 930 Turbo. The 75 Porsche 935 proved to be highly successful, winning countless races, especially the prestigious 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1979. The 935 was perfect, winning 123 out of 370 races it was entered into. The 935 is less popular than the legendary 917K and 908, which Seinfeld also owns. However, it is just as crucial as these aforementioned cars in building the racing pedigree that Porsche has today. Porsche announced the second generation 935 in 2018. This contemporary race car paid homage to the iconic 935 from the 1970s, with only 77 units being produced. Seinfeld's example is unique because it's the first 935 ever built. It's powered by a 2.9-liter turbocharged engine that puts out 590 horsepower. It's estimated to be worth $5 million. 1973 Porsche 911 Carrera RSR. Very few Porsche fans know that this wide-body 911 base car exists. This RSR is the reason for the RS's existence in the first place. Powered by a 2807cc, horizontally flat 6 engine, the 1973 Porsche 911 Carrera RSR puts out 280 horsepower. Like the 935, it's also a factory-built racing car derived from the 911 chassis. For the private racers in the mid-1970s who wanted to go sport car racing, this was the weapon of choice, especially for those who wanted to compete at the big races. Since the RSR is not turbocharged to Porsche purists, this is the purest variation of the racing Porsche 911s you could get. This particular car is the one an ignorant BMW driver backed into. With only 55 examples built, the 1973 Porsche 911 Carrera RSR is estimated to be worth $2.5 million. 1999 Porsche 911 Classic Club Coupe. The car made headlines at Broad Arrow's Porsche 75th anniversary auction as the most expensive 996 generation Porsche 911 ever sold. The Porsche 911 is lauded as Porsche's best road-going car ever, which is why there are so many generations and variations. The 911 Classic Club Coupe is a one-off base on the 966.2 GT3 sports car. The base vehicle is from 1998, but it took Porsche 2.5 years to build it. The 911 Classic Club Coupe is a Sonderwunsch factory one-off special wishes project completed by Porsche Classic in collaboration with the Porsche Club of America. Its rarity is highlighted with a 001/001 marking, and a remarkable resemblance to the Type 997 911 Sport Classic is created with a ducktail spoiler evocative of the 1973 911 Carrera RS 2.7, a double bubble top, 18-inch forged aluminum Fuchs wheels, and distinctive paints. Seinfeld purchased this car at auction for $1.3 million. Seeing the craftsmanship that went into it, it's easy to see why someone would pay over $1 million for it. 1964 Porsche 911. There's no doubt that Seinfeld is in love with the 911s, probably more than the average Porsche aficionado. He owns the very first production Porsche 911 ever produced. Being a rear-engine performance car, the first-generation 911 made history in a literal sense and sparked an automotive revolution that is still going strong today. Seinfeld's 1964 Porsche 911 is a time capsule and in such excellent shape that it is difficult to believe it was driven off the assembly line almost 60 years ago. This car is also estimated to be worth $5 million. 2016 Porsche 911R. This Porsche is one of the more modern offerings in Seinfeld's collection. When the 911R was announced in 2016, it was the talk of the town. On paper, it was the perfect Porsche. It boasted the 4-liter engine from a GTS RS, a manual transmission, and a sleek exterior that stayed true to Porsche's design language. Every unit of the 911R was sold upon release, and it's easier to see why. Seinfeld must have chalked up $600,000 for his 2016 Porsche 911R. This car blends everything we love about Porsches into one complete package. It was built as an homage to the original one of 20 1967 to 1968 911R, another legendary road car from Porsche. 1988 Porsche 959 Sport. Seinfeld's Porsche collection would be incomplete without the most technologically advanced Porsche on the planet at the time. It was so advanced that Bill Gates thought of getting one for himself, which ended up being a problem because this car could not be legally owned and driven in the United States. The car is so popular because of Bill Gates' decade-long legal battle trying to import it to the United States. Because of this particular Porsche, the show and display amendment for cars deemed illegal on US roads was drawn up. The baseline 959 is already a unique vehicle packed to the grills with modern filling technology. The 959S, on the other hand, cranked it all the way up. A set of bigger turbochargers helped it produce even more power, increasing the total output to 508 horsepower. As a result, the 959 Sport was among the first regular production vehicles to comfortably surpass 200 miles per hour. This car is estimated to be worth $2.5 million. Only 29 copies of the Sport trim were built by Porsche.